template in FPL refers to the most popular team or structure. But this year, FPL were big brain with their pricing, and now everybody has a completely different team. Despite that though, players like Isak, Watkins, Palmer and Haaland all have ownerships higher than 40%. So that begs the question, what is the current FPL template? Boom. Completed it, mate, where this right here is the current FPL template. This team has the 3 most selected defenders, the 4 most selected mids, and the 2 most selected forwards. Haaland is the 3rd most selected forward and is actually more selected than Salah, but you need to chop this team in half to squeeze him in, so for budget reasons, he has not made the template. So this may not be the template in terms of the most popular team or the most popular team structure, but it's more of a collection of the most owned players in FPL right now. And if this was actually your team, then I think you should just delete FPL. Never to be seen again. Bye. Now, what's interesting about some of the players in this team, and is actually always the case after a big international tournament, is that players that end up doing very well or going far in the Euros, especially English players, end up having a very inflated ownership. You remember Luke Shaw after the last Euros? He was the most selected player in the game. What the burger eating mother trucker was that about? Like, what? I swear he didn't even reach 100 points that season as well. Now, this inflated ownership may actually be fair, you know, because if you're playing for England and you're going far in Europe, then you probably are decent players and probably pretty good for FPL. Yeah, fair enough. But the main problem is some of these players are actually yet to play a single preseason game and may not even start game week 1 because they went far in the Euros. The likes of Palmer, Watkins and Eze are actually yet to play a single preseason game. Gordon only just played his first, and other popular players like Foden and Trent may also not be ready for game week 1, may not even start the first few weeks, as they haven't even been involved in their club's preseason tours yet. So that is a little something to keep in mind when looking at the most selected players. In terms of players though, they are all very solid picks, if they play. But that is a big if right now. If you have too many of these players in your squad and some of them may not start, then that's just going to end up being one big boy unlucky. Now, the main reason all of these players are the most selected is actually for a completely different reason. And that reason is the fact they scored the most points last season. Anderson is the most popular 4.5 million defender because he was the highest scoring 4.5 million defender. And Palmer is the most selected mid because he was the highest total point scorer, and so on. Now, if you don't really know about FPL and the point scoring, and maybe you're not a nerd like all of us spending hours and hours looking at this stuff, looking at last season points is probably the best thing to do, right? As at the end of the day, you want FPL points. These players scored the points last year, so they must be good, right? Yeah, okay, fair enough. But as always, every year, not all of these players will have a good season, and there will always be different players potentially doing better or these players doing much worse. But that's not to say that all of these will score bad, but it's to say not every single one of them will do. So just looking at last season's total points isn't what you should just be looking at. But also, they did score those points. So if you are going to try and pick an alternative, only pick an alternative because you think that player will actually score more points. Choosing a differential or somebody else in another team or another price point over these players could very well work out, but it's only going to work out if they get more points. Ownership does not play a part into who scores the FPL points, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Get in the players you think will score the most points, and not just because they are low owned. Overall though, this template team is very solid and will probably end up doing very well. I would personally change it because, you know, I'm the best FPL manager, as I would prefer the likes of Son or Saka over a Palmer from the start, because I don't think he's ready yet. And I would prefer to upgrade a João Pedro to a Muniz or Solanke. I would probably also not put that much money in the defense and goalkeeper too, but if you don't have anywhere else to put that money, then you might as well keep it there, because the best value for money is usually at the back. But they're all certainly not bad picks at all. So let me know, what do you think of this team? Are you looking similar to the template, or are you looking completely different? That's going to be all. Thanks for watching, and also remember...
Don't be a cheeky scrub. Subscribe to Nathan Bacon right now. Don't let your memes be dreams.